Hi, everybody. It's Robert again. And today I'm talking with a very special person. She lives in my area, actually. So that's different. Usually I'm talking to people on the other side of the country or in Europe, but this is kind of cool. Her name is Joey Potts, and she is the Veiled Cottage Witch. She is one of the first people I met in this town a few years ago, and I'm very lucky to know her. She is a practitioner of magic and follows Iris. She is a tarot teacher, and we're going to find out more about her and exactly what is going on with Joey. Hi, Joey. How you doing today?
I am wonderful. Thank you.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I have to tell you that there's maybe four people in the town whose opinion I truly, truly respect. And you know all of them. um, and you are definitely on that list.
Thank
So
you so much.
I consider myself lucky to be in your circle.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
what started you on your journey with tarot and the what widened your mind, let's say, or were you always that way?
Well, I knew that there were some certain things that I did not like about myself. This was way before shadow work became a thing. So I would hunt and hunt the self-help section and of any bookstore. And I was trying to find ways on working, you know, to help myself and help better myself and to really improve on the things I wanted to improve on. And having perused and tried every self-help book and positive thinking and all of that, I was in Barnes and Noble, as you are, and the self-help section was just like, okay, I'm done looking. And then I turned around, did a 180, and the other side was New Age. And right under that sign, right at my level, was the obnoxious yellow boxed Rider Waite deck.
Yeah.
Next to it was a sign that said, learn the cards and fix your life. And I said, you're on. And here we are 30 years later.
30 years. So you've been going at it pretty much like a long time, like I have. I picked up my first deck at 15, so I get where you're coming from. Mine was a high school class for the unexplained, it was called Unexplained Phenomena. So basically, all we did was sit there and watch cool movies and read tarot cards on each other. It was the best class I ever had in high school. Um, it helped that my mom was a Dianic witch at the time. Um, the thought of manifesting a future for you was new. And now you had all these options open to you when you picked up cards. How long did it take you to get into it? What was that like?
It was well, I'll be honest, it was love at first sight. I mean, I this was something that I can do that was an activity, that I could actually, sink my teeth into. And I happened upon Eden Gray's book. Um, I believe it's The Complete Guide to the Tarot. It's just a little tiny book. And I actually memorized that book. I
Wow.
I I wrote everything down, and I was came into a roadblock because I learned all these, book, definitions, but they weren't really fitting into my questions. So eventually I just said, I'm going to throw those traditional meanings out, and I'm just going to, feel what
How
I
long did it
feel.
take that to come about?
Um, a few
Few
years,
years.
maybe 5 years. I just like, I'm not going to memorize this anymore. I am going to make my own opinions based on readings. And I would read for myself and I would read for friends and stuff like that. But mainly, I just read for myself, all the self improvement that I can get.
You
And
picked up the you took that step a lot sooner than I did. It took me a long time to throw out what the standard meanings were and say, look, it's just not working. Every time this card comes up, I'm feeling this way, but the book says this way, which is,
right,
it's not completely different, but it is a twist on it. Like the magician, um, everybody views it as manifesting willpower action, but for me, it's about the communication aspect of it because it is ruled by Mercury. To
yep.
me, you can't manifest anything until you communicate your need either to the universe. My husband is tiptoeing through the room right now, trying not to make noise. It's adorable. um, you can't manifest anything until you communicate your need to the
Yeah.
universe. So communication. So that's why I say everybody has their twist exactly on what each card means. And you came to that a lot sooner than I did. I'm, I'm stubborn and I refuse to give up. So here's my next question. I'm pulling my questions from the Santa Muerte deck.
Okay.
It's my favorite deck to use, one of my top five, I guess.
Okay.
When did religion enter into your life in a magical way? And how did it tie in with the cards? What came first, the cards or
Yeah. Yeah. Tarot was the gateway. It was the gateway drug. I mean,
the
you know, you see the magician with his wand and he's pointing it in the altar. And I was like, I want to be a magician. And it turns out in numerology, I am the magician.
ah,
But yeah, I had to I just jumped right in, I dipped a toe in with the tarot and then I just dove in. I studied a lot of Scott Cunningham books, Silver Ravenwolf. I don't like Silver Ravenwolf anymore. But for a
or at
beginner,
the
she's
time it was, yeah,
one of the
but
one of the
that's
foundational
Silver
authors out there.
Ravenwolf was one of the first books. I think To Ride a Silver Broomstick was
Hmm.
one of the first books that I tried to get into. And did I didn't mean to cut you off. The flow, how did that go? I'm still more interested in that. I should have let you finish.
No, it's all right.
I just got
Um,
excited.
so I found like-minded people actually, and formed my own coven. And it was an elemental coven, and we had 5 members: earth, air, fire, water, spirit. Um, and we had that going for a couple of years. I I I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. We took turns teaching, but shit happens and I had to kind of break away for my own sanity. And as you do,
Right.
and I had been a solitary practitioner for a while. And mainly I was Wiccan because I did not know any other system.
Right.
Um, I was Wiccan for a long time. And then I kind of morphed into and settled into the folk witchcraft realm. Um, and then I went to the University of Metaphysics and working on
That
my.
is something that we need to touch on here. For example, we're going to get to that. Um,
Sure. Sure.
So how did Iris enter your life? And I'm very interested in this because we both follow pretty much the same pantheons. Um, I know how Hermes entered my life.
Mhm.
How did Iris make herself known to you?
Well, so I was working on my master's thesis, and I was going to do it on creative visualization. And when I got done with all the research and started compiling everything, I was overwhelmed. It's too much. It's just way too big, and I can't seem to fit it in, to what I'm trying to do. And I asked deity, show me a sign. I was studying and I work primarily with Celtic deities. So I never really looked for a different pantheon. But that is when I saw my first rattlesnake. So I was coming outside and it was dark and I was trying to get the cats in, and a snake out of nowhere. No one else saw it. It was a green and cream colored snake. I think it was a Mojave actually. And at the same time, not the exact same time, but during that time, I had been sent rainbows in prisms, rainbows in water. And the rainbows were just like coming at me. And I was like, okay, I know I'm bisexual. Like, I know it's not like pride thing, um, because I've already went down that road. So I already knew who I was. So I was like, I don't get it with the snake and with all these rainbows. And I did a guided meditation to meet another goddess. I believe Morgan Le Fay. I believe that was the goddess that I was doing. And I was like, it really didn't connect. But then the last 10 minutes, the guided meditation leads me, and here is um, another goddess has a message for you. And I had never had that experience before, just like, another goddess having, nothing to do with the goddess I'm here for, just come out at me. And, we called that goddess, and it was Iris of the Rainbows. And at that point, I received the very clear message because I am clairaudient and claircognizant. So I received a very clear message. I've been there the whole time. And I get my cards out, and what jumps out? Temperance with beautiful irises right on the card. And I was like, yep, you have been here the whole time, and I just haven't worked with you. So that was really cool. So then I ended up changing my thesis to working with light and color in her honor.
That is amazing. And the next card on our journey is the Empress, which leads me to ask, I know your wife, and she's a beautiful woman. How did you guys meet?
Oh my gosh, this is kind of embarrassing, but I don't know, it's very kish. She and I are both huge fans of the television show Supernatural.
Oh gosh, yeah. Me
I
too.
mean, huge fans. Um, so we met on Twitter talking about Supernatural. And there was this group, and we were involved in a group tweet that quickly moved to Facebook because we ran out of room for all the people and we couldn't leave a message. So we went to Facebook and we started a chat where we would all get together and watch Supernatural videos. And then pretty soon nobody else was showing up, and it was just she and I. And we really got to know each other through that show. We got to know each other, and we got to like, she's a Sam girl, I'm a Dean girl, and it just, we became best friends
She's a
for,
Sam girl? I'm sorry.
yeah, I know. Um, Not my kind of guy, but I respect that. Um, so she and I ended up meeting. She drove all the way from Arizona to Missouri, and
Wow, really?
yeah, in 24 hours, in one day, she drove to meet me, and she was going to her first supernatural convention. So I was a hairstylist at that time, and
I did
so,
not know you were a hairstylist, so was I.
oh really?
Yeah, I was a
How
hairstylist and
cool!
a nail tech for 14 years.
Wow. Yeah, I just did hair. Um, yeah, I can't handle nails. I get mine done, but I
Well, I
don't.
started off as a nail tech and I did that
Uh,
for 10 years and I got tired of giving all my clients to the hairstylist. So I went back to school and
gotcha.
got my license and everything was going great. And then I got belly fever, which gave me a brain lesion. I had to have
Oh,
surgery. And now my hands have tremors, which is why
oh,
I
goodness.
can't do that anymore. But it forced me into a new line of thinking or remembering an old way of thinking, I should say. And through a series of events, I ended up picking up my cards again, and now I'm back to doing that full time. So that's a bonus. That's a plus.
Yeah.
Um, the finances on tarot aren't always the best when we first start. I
Mhm.
remember, and they're not phenomenal now, but they're decent. what what were you doing before um you were a hairstylist?
Mhm.
What were you doing before that?
Oh, um, no shame in my game. I was an exotic dancer.
Dude, I wasn't, but I was a bartender, so I
Oh,
bars and
yeah.
clubs. Yeah. More like than you think. The schooling issue I want to get back to.
Okay.
What made that the Hierophant? What brought that into your life? What made you say, I'm Joey and I want to do this, so I'm going to further my education in this way?
Um, well, I had tried to go to community college, and to be quite honest, I could not pass the math. I've had way too many drinks in my life, smoked way too much cannabis in my life, and it just wasn't sticking. I was getting very frustrated. I was having panic attacks. I mean, it was so much pressure to get these core classes in that I'm not going to use.
Yeah.
So
You're not a
I got
linear
into that.
thinker, are you?
Yeah. So I looked online for metaphysical schools in the state of Missouri where I could do an online thing or in person. I was ready for anything. And the University of Metaphysics Sedona came up, and I applied and I got a scholarship. And here I am working on my dissertation.
That is, yeah, a scholarship. Phenomenal. I didn't even
Thank
know that.
you.
Wow. I gotta say, you impress me more and more and more. The choice to follow your heart, the lover's card, has obviously paid off in phenomenal ways for you. It's allowed you to um, meet your wife, the people in your life.
Mhm.
People now turn to you for advice. Um, Other readers turn to you for advice. Y'all can't see her in person. I'm looking down at my cards. If you see when I look away, the was it always easy, or were you scared to start reading for people?
Well, having been from Missouri, I there was no there was no place for me to read. Not unless I wanted to go a little bit farther from where I lived. I mean, Missouri is just kind of that way. And when I moved here, I found a wonderful metaphysical church, and I started to go there regularly. And it was like, oh my gosh, I am not alone.
No.
And so then I found Strega, and I met the owner, Suzanne, and I said, hey, I read cards. I would love to, work here and read. And she gave me a shot, and I'm so forever grateful.
She's an awesome
Um,
lady.
yeah. And so it, you know, and then I just developed into an educator. Excuse me, developed into an educator. And then I've been, forming classes and stuff like that. And I just really feel at home, like I've hit my groove. And it feels really good. And I love that people ask me advice. Sometimes that's a lot of pressure on me because I'm afraid, the what would Joey do might not be what would Robert
It's
do,
funny
you
you should
know?
say that because I did make a giggle one time with another mutual friend, D. This
Oh,
is a
we
while
love
back.
her.
We were
Love
asking in
Dee.
tarot group. I don't even remember how it came up, but I said WWJD. What would Joey do? And I thought it was funny as heck. Um, so you said Sedona, but how did you end up in this town, in this county? You're in Cochise County. You're part of the
So
Cochise Tarot peeps.
I came to live with Nicole, my wife. We were already engaged. My kids had left to go off to college, and they had their routes ready. And I said, I'm just going to do it. And I moved in, and it has been absolutely wonderful. I could not I could not ask for a better partner in life. She is everything I'm not, and I'm everything she's not. And we just kind of fit together like a yin and yang symbol. So
Yeah,
I absolutely love it in Arizona. It's not as cold and temperate as uh, as Missouri. I mean, it's humid, it's cold and snowy. I mean, there's just
yeah, I can't do that. I'm
very
from California, so I'm used to warm weather.
yeah. You get all four
Definitely
seasons in
drier
one
here.
day in Missouri.
Yeah. Um, you had just said something that resonated, and I was going to bring it up. Oh, Nicole. Um, Nicole and you are a lot like my partner Oscar and I. We've been together for a couple decades now, and he is, I don't want to say completely opposite to me, but we balance each other. He's a Capricorn, I'm a Leo. Um, and we are true Leo and true Capricorn type people. Um, he gives my life structure as in a frame, and I give his picture color. That's what I
Love
always tell
that.
people.
I love that.
That's how I describe us. Um, is Nicole where you draw your strength from? Because times are not easy, and sometimes we just need to not do anything and pull strength from our deities and the people around us. And where do you draw your greatest source of strength from?
I think without my wife's unfathomable faith, I mean, she just knows everything will work out. So if I come to her in a panicked state, I'm worried about this or I'm worried about that, and oh my gosh, they're going to be here in 30 minutes, blah, 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 blah. And she will just calm me down. And she, it's going to be fine. You've done this before. She's kind of like a cheerleader for me. She has the absolute faith in that everything will work out. And sometimes I call her a Disney princess for that, but she really does. She really does give me strength.
Right.
Of course, I do pull from the deities that I work with, the spirits that I work with, and nature, who I work
You're
with.
speaking of nature. Joey has a metaphysical center, and it has the most gorgeous garden that I think I've seen in quite a while with the
Oh,
little
thank you.
has. And I was having a really bad day the day I saw you,
Oh,
and things were rough. Things have been rough, and I'm doing my best to dance through it. And I know like you say, everything's going to be fine. But when you're in it and you're having to pivot and twist and dance, it can be wearing. And the day I went to pick up my order, and we're going to get to the order, by the way. Your products are amazing. Just sitting with you and talking for a few minutes, just
good.
and I came home and got back into what I was doing, and I was able to get through everything. But it's the smallest things that have the largest impact on us. And the impact you have had on the people around you is huge. I'm not saying you're small, but the impact cannot be denied. And as a messenger of the gods, which is how I view people who are close to messenger gods and goddesses like we are, we are messengers. And your message is getting across great, is what I'm saying. I guess I just got lost in my own thought there. What are you working on now? What are you trying to bring into being?
Well, I am working on my YouTube channel and working on, getting out some helpful information about not just tarot reading, but about my practices. And I have a friend who says that I produce lazy witchcraft. It's like you just need this, and it's bibbity bobbity boo, and it's done. And I'm like, well, that's what I like. I'm lazy. I don't want to have to work, hard to get something I want. So I've been really working on my products being very particular. I'm very particular about it, even to the labeling. I'm very, very kind of anal about it because I put my heart and soul into my products.
Let's,
I'm
let's
trying to
talk.
get my so
Let's talk about
go
your
ahead.
products while we're at it. And Strega, the store we're talking about, you guys, carries a lot of Joey's products. She has made some of the best oils that I have used during sessions. I want to tell you, the Hermes oil is phenomenal for my readings. Um,
Yay.
the Hecate oil is love it. It gives such great vibes.
Good.
Um,
Good.
the analgesic that you make, love it. What started that because that I know a lot of witches and only a small portion of them follow the route you're following.
Well,
Why? Tell me about that.
well, first of all, I am also very stubborn, and I was, I was like, I really want to make stuff to use in my craft. I use oils a lot. That's my favorite thing to make. Um, I make oils. Like I wanted to make an oil for my healing deities so that I can use that healing oil um, in on areas of my body or in a candle representing something else. So um, I, read a lot of research, and I read Magical Herbalism by Scott Cunningham, and he was like, "Don't try to make oils with fresh herbs," and I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. And wasted like 2 gallons of oil not listening to that man.
You're stubborn. But see, you're not stubborn. You just need to understand things in a certain way. And if
Right.
you don't do it
And
your
I
way,
am
you're always going to wonder,
and I am highly allergic to mold.
oh, are you?
Let me just make that clear. I am highly allergic to mold. So to make my wife have to clean up this stuff, I was like, I can't even be around it. I can't. I will go into anaphylactic shock and it will be not good.
I'm
So
allergic to
after I had
peanuts,
that
but I get you.
scare, I'm like, okay. And I grabbed again Scott Cunningham's incense oils and brews.
Mhm.
And I was so inspired. I didn't make anything, I want to do it. So I didn't do any of his recipes, but I got inspiration
Right.
from that book. And I was like, well, I wouldn't use this, I would use this. And so it just kind of came about like, I know I need to add this, and this. So I'm going to look up my correspondences. I'm going to do research on you know, the best part of the plants to use and all of that. So I did some Udemy classes, got herbal certified, and here we are. So there's a lot of trial and error, a lot of thrown away jars.
You
Uh,
say lazy magic. I don't consider it lazy. I consider it primal. Um,
I like that. I
the
like that.
thought that over time ritual magic has evolved is a
Hmm.
that's a fact. That's a given.
Thank
But you have
goodness.
to start somewhere. It was primal. There was no
Hmm.
ritual involved. And to me,
Hmm.
the strongest magic is the primal magic that happens. Um, I'm not saying anything bad about ritual magic. It's just not my gig. I've tried it. I'm 54 for first sake. Um, I just, it's not my thing. I'm
Hmm.
not a ritual witch. I'm not a ritual magician. And I'm also not what I consider lazy. I do see the way magic works. And like you, this is what I'm aiming at. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm
Hmm.
focusing at. Um,
Hmm.
the trappings never really got to me or worked with me very well. It hit my sense of confidence when I would do ritual work more. I was so focused on getting everything right that I wasn't focused on the actual deed that was happening. Um,
That can happen.
Justice. What has been the most vindicating feeling that you've had in your spiritual path? I guess.
Well, if we're going to go with justice on this, I used to have neighbors that were very awful people. Um, and especially the way they treated their dogs. Their dogs were outside all the time. even in 120-degree August.
Mm-hmm.
They would get out, they would run around, they would chase the cats. These people were just never home. And I did a little something, something, and they're gone. And now I have the best neighbors that I could ask for. They are very very courteous, and very good to their dogs. In fact, when I have full moon and Sabbath celebrations, I said, if you guys want to come on over, you're more than welcome. They're they're
And
young,
they're
they're
good with
fun.
they like living next door to a witch.
Yes, yes. In fact, she has some of my tinctures and my salve, I believe.
Perfect.
Um,
It
so
can't, it's not always easy dealing with the general public. We both know that. I've had issue, mainly being a man in the magic world. It doesn't always fly with a lot of people, especially younger witches think men aren't supposed to be witches. Men aren't supposed to work magic. Men aren't supposed to serve the gods. And it just blows my mind that that is still a thing. Um, Older witches and older people know, yeah, okay, and that's ridiculous. Just what was the hardest thing for you to overcome? The hardest, the new outlook when
um,
I'm not even sure exactly how to frame this question.
I think I
Um,
got you.
Give me one more chance. I can do this. I can do this. Um, was there ever a point when you were on this path, say in the past 5, 10 years, that you were that you had to find a new way of doing things?
Yes, I was my ex-husband and I uh had a very toxic relationship. Um and it sent me into a depression to where I stopped doing magic. I stopped doing readings. I got rid of everything. And I was trying to change myself for this man.
Uh,
And when I did, and this was 10 years, I had 10 years of this depression. When I would drop everything just to please this man, I was not appreciated. And
right,
so it was a cycle of about 10 years before I had to say, no, I'm not living for somebody else anymore. I need to live for me and do what I think is right. And so I got a divorce. I moved out. I bought a mobile home in a mobile home village because that's all I could afford at the time. And now my son lives there.
uh,
He lives there with his wife and my granddaughter. So I've kind of passed that on. And so I really had to learn to get back to me. And I think that that was a big wake up call for me to really to get back to who I was and get back to the things that I love doing, like meditation and tarot reading and witchcraft. I I was so grateful for those practices because they were right there waiting for me.
right. It's it's
Yeah.
the absolute truth about that. I tell you, after my operation, I was lost. My whole identity was wrapped up in being a hairstylist, and um, when I couldn't do that anymore, I was truly lost. And luckily, during lockdown, I found a video on resin crafting, making trays and stuff like that. And I started that hobby. I started making rolling trays because I like to smoke the ganja. Um,
Same.
the time it took to do that stuff, and also because I work with Hermes, making crafts is an act of devotion. Creating it is something that I turn into a spiritual thing for me. Um,
Yes.
it gave me time to commune with myself, and I got back in touch with my spirituality and just leaned into it. And I was like, you know what? I keep trying different things and you keep cutting them off. And I feel like I'm being herded in this direction. So I give. Let's do it.
Mhm.
And since I gave in and started leaning heavily into my craft and my spirit work, things have gone phenomenally well. I mean, true, there's hiccups. That's life. But um, getting cards have allowed me to heal a lot of trauma in my life. Um, they have allowed me to heal the trauma of my family. And when I say that, um, I've been doing a lot of ancestor work
Mhm.
and dealing with my family. They're not good people. And when they were alive, they were not good people. And rather than carry that hatred around with me, I'm really, really, really trying to work through that with them. And to my surprise, I'm not only healing that with those feelings with my ancestors, but they're also saying, hey, let us help you out with your tarot work, with your spirit work, with your client work. And I'm loving it. I didn't know I could have such a good relationship with my family. It's pretty cool. Um, what has made you stop and say, whoa, I'm going to slow this down a bit. I'm going to regroup for a second. What's
Well, when I first started having gatherings here, um, everyone just let me do what I was wanted to do. And it was fun for a while, but I got really overwhelmed really quickly.
I'm writing the word
So
pressure. It's
yeah, and I'm like, y'all, we're gonna have to rotate. And once I started, just opening that up to, to all right, who's willing to help, and who wants to help lead ritual, who wants to teach classes, who wants to do this. And once I did that, the pressure was kind of off of me. Like, I still do classes, I still lead ritual, but
so
I don't do it every time.
what I'm hearing is Joey realized she doesn't have to do everything by herself, and
Mm-hmm.
other people can do things.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
have that problem. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like to give up control of certain things. I like to know. Um,
Right.
which brings us to the next card in our journey, the Devil card. What
Oh, my
is it?
favorite.
Yeah. What is your biggest obstacle as you're trying to deal with? What is the hardest thing to break free of?
I would say 100% confidence, because when I'm creating, if I'm creating a salve or I'm creating an oil, and what if the herbs that I choose, what if some reason they don't smell good to other people, or they're not as good as I think. I think there's a little bit of self-esteem, a little bit of confidence maybe, that I stress about things before there's even something to stress about, and I think that's the people pleaser in me.
That's your Nine of
Uh,
Swords.
yeah. Um, you know, and once I said, you know what, these are your oils. This is your name on here. If you like how allspice and angelica root work together, then do it. And who cares? Once I took the pressure off, I don't have to sell all my products to everyone. What I like about my products is that even if, you know, nobody buys anything for like 6 months, there's going to be a person that I'm going to meet that needs something that I have. And I think because I put so much heart and soul into it, I believe that energetically it goes where it needs to go.
I
And
have
yeah,
a bedroom full of books and shelving of my potions, powders, incenses, oils. And before this interview, I went and I looked just to see what oils I had up there, and I realized something. Most of them are Joey oils. They are Veiled Cottage Witch oils. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that. Uh, Half of my inventory is your stuff, and that is phenomenal. I just
thank
wanted to
you
say
so
that before I forgot. Um,
much.
Apparently, you're my dealer, girl.
All right, I'll take the job. I'll take the job.
There, the Tower card brings devastation and new insight sometimes. Um, I think we've discussed your roughest tower moments so far. Has there been any other or
Yeah.
realizations? Well, obviously, what you got?
Well, when I decided that I wasn't just going to make products, that I was going to serve the community, I was going to have energy healing sessions. And so I bought a massage table, yada, yada. I have aromatherapy and all of that. And I had to learn a very hard lesson that the healing session and the healing that you give to somebody, you have to disconnect from that when the session is over. Otherwise, there's this energy strand from you and the person that you essentially healed. But I learned that I have to let that go. That is their responsibility, not mine. And I did lose one of my best friends that way because I was, again, a little bit controlling, I would say. It was just really hard to give that healing advice, and they would shoot it down or always have an excuse for why they couldn't do that.
Yeah,
I was like beating my head up against the wall, and I realized, wait a minute, this is not even mine. Why am I carrying it?
yeah.
It's not snip,
That's
you
a
know,
very,
and
very important point that I wish all readers would realize. I knew that for the simple fact that I told you I used to be a nail tech and I did pedicures a lot. Um,
mm-hmm.
when I started school, I at first the first couple days I would go home and I'm like, why do I feel like crap? And it was another witch friend of mine that says you're touching people all day. What is so hard to figure out? And I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, I get it. Not only that, but as you're rubbing their feet, they are seriously letting go of everything. You're relaxing them. And as an empath, we're picking that shit up. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to disconnect. And I tell my clients, I'm not maintaining this reading. It's not for me. Once this reading is over, I ring a little bell, ding, and it's gone. It's severed. It's yours. So be comfortable. the spiel basically breaks down into tell me, be honest, let's talk because I'm not going to remember jack shit from this reading. I promise you. Um, so feel free to tell me everything. And it's not that I don't care, it's that I'm not carrying this energy with me all the time.
Right.
What gives you hope? I know what gives you strength. What gives you hope?
Um,
And what
this
do you
is going to
hope
sound,
for?
what's that?
And what do you hope for?
I am constantly hoping or intending for peace of mind. And what has been my saving grace is meditation. I have cured some of my conditions through meditation, through working on myself, changing my habits, and, knowing that I can do that just by, meditating and, changing my mindset about certain things, I am no longer pre-diabetic. I no longer have kidney disease, and I am no longer diagnosed bipolar.
Nice.
So,
I'm still
yeah.
diabetic, still bipolar. um, the idea of having something to hope for has gotten me through so much. Um, the only thing I truly hope for, no matter where I go, is peace. So it's interesting you say that. I want peace everywhere I go. I can't help it. I'm in Spanish it's called I'm a metiche. I like to butt in. I have to meddle in everything. If there's discord, I have to try to fix it. And that's my biggest challenge. I try to mend fences whenever I can, and it's gotten me in a lot of trouble a lot of time. Yes, I'll admit, but I gotta try. If I don't try to bring healing to certain areas, then I'll always know I didn't at least give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not everybody wants healing and not everybody wants peace. So I'm having to learn how to step back and let them run head face into the wall.
That
Um,
you have to, or you will drag yourself down.
it's painful. Either way, it's painful not doing anything and it's painful sitting back and watching. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
um, what is it about you, the moon card? I know you can't see it down here. What is something about you that most people don't know?
Um, Most people don't know that um, I have certain compulsions from generalized anxiety disorder. And so I cannot be idle. It's not it's not in my blood. I when I don't have nails, I bite them.
Uh,
I'm a teeth grinder. I pick at dead skin. I mean, it's just really bad. And that is one of the things that meditation helps me, and mindfulness helps me to conquer those compulsions. I've been working on it for quite a while. I'm doing hypnotherapy, I'm doing mindfulness meditation, all of that. But it's still very much one of my demons that I have to fight every minute of every day. And I don't know that I will ever be completely 100% compulsion free. But the fact that I'm working on it constantly gives me hope that I will get there eventually.
I I I can't help but pick at my skin at times too. So I do this.
Yep. Yep.
all the time. And
Yep.
if when I was a nail tech, it was really bad because my nails would go zoop, zoop
Uh-huh.
here. So they were really deformed. Um, the joy you bring to people has been discussed already. What would you like to see happen in your area? What That's an open-ended question. I drew the sun, or pulled
Mhm.
it, and the first thing I thought of is your your area, the Veiled
Mhm.
Cottage Witch space, your garden. What's going on there? I know you've got some rituals coming up.
Yes. Well, our biggest thing that we plan for all year is the haunted garden. And this last year was the first time we did it. And we made flyers and we walked around, we stuck it in mailboxes and everything. And it was the weekend before Halloween. And we had some of my coven mates here, and we all had different stations and different trick or treat stations. I was out on my porch in my rocking chair, and people would come up and trick or treat me, and I would make them draw a card, you know. And that, just to getting to meet my community,
Uh-huh.
my neighborhood, because I was so afraid that people would be very judgmental, but they weren't. They wanted to actually meet the witch that lives in the neighborhood. And so we had kids coming all night, and it was amazing. This kid who was scared of me, he went away and played at the games and did the crafts. And then he came back and he gave me the biggest hug.
Oh,
And I was
cool.
forever touched. Like that is just, oh, it was so great because he went from fear to acceptance. Like, and I got to see that.
That's funny
And
you should say
that is,
that. The judgment card here that I have, I don't know if you can
mhm,
see, it has the little kid
mhm.
coming out of the coffin. So that's pretty
Uh-huh.
cool. And that feeling of um, oh, they're not gonna burn the witch must have been very
Right.
gratifying.
But besides the haunted garden, we have rituals for every Sabbath.
Hold on, I just dropped my glasses. Okay, you were saying who?
We have rituals for every Sabbath, group rituals. Like I said, we take turns leading rituals. And then we have we have an amazing OM Celtic OM magic and divination class that's led by me,
Mhm.
that I've been studying for 3 years, and I'm super excited to teach that one again. And then we also have full moon rituals too. Um, so if
I'm excited for the 5th of May.
yes, Beltane, it's
Yeah,
going to be wonderful.
it's
It's
gonna be
going to
the
be
first time I'm doing ritual with you. It's exciting. I know.
you're going to
Um,
be hooked. You're going to come back. I know. I know you're going to love
I,
it.
I'm already hooked and I'm not even there. You said that you were scared of judgment from the people in your area, and there wasn't any. Have you had to face judgment for being a witch before, or being a tarot
Yeah.
card reader?
In my first lifetime as a witch, um, when I was young, I would bring tarot cards to a party, and I had no idea that they were considered evil. I thought we had gone way past that,
Hmm.
but I would bring them, and they were like, "Get those evil things. It's the devil's poker." And
The
so
devil's poker. I'm gonna use that. That's
you
my
may,
new
you may.
favorite saying.
So they would, be very judgmental, and they, well, what else do you do? And then I wasn't going to tell them that I was in a coven.
Right.
Um, you know, but yeah, I think in my younger days, I think that may be what has kind of scarred me a little bit. But eventually I stopped caring what other people thought because I know my own truth. And so
The
I
mark of a
was,
grown up.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, I don't need to stress about this. Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting you brought that up about the cards because the last question or second to last question I want to ask is the new movie that's coming out called Tarot, and I've been asking everybody about this. Um, how do you feel it's going to affect our world? Because you and I both read.
Well, here's the thing. I think that there is Instagram witches that are just in it for the aesthetic. And then I think that there are witches that know their craft like the back of their hand and they live it and they embody it. My hope for these movies that are coming out, because there's quite a few. I subscribe to Shudder. I'm a horror girl,
I
and
love
there are
Shudder.
a lot. There's a whole witchcraft genre, and I'm loving it because you know I think it feeds some of that fear, but I think the true witches will laugh at it because like in jest like, oh my gosh, how can people be scared of 78 paper cards, like, you know
Well,
and hopefully it will be able to merge those areas together and get people to think, no, they're not just 78 paper cards. They are mysteries and life lessons and archetypes and trials and tribulations that we can learn from and better ourselves, and that's what I got into tarot in the first place for.
you make
So,
me all tingly when you talk like that. That's exactly how I view tarot. It bothers me when people just try to, and I understand there is that aspect of wanting to know what's coming. But to me, you cannot understand what's coming until you understand what's come before and what's happening now.
mhm,
And that will allow you an understanding of what's about to happen.
yeah.
When somebody says, oh, look, the devil card, it's evil, I knew it.
Oh
Witch!
my gosh.
Gosh, that just irritates me.
I like
Um,
to just point out the symbology at that point, you know,
I
and just
like
say,
to
well,
bring up the
this
lover's
is
card and the devil card at
real.
the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, come on. It's,
And for those of you who don't
learning.
know, the lover's card and the devil's card are pretty much the same exact card, just
Hmm.
different sides of the coin.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
the world is yours now, my dear. What is your goal? What is next on the Joey to-do list?
Well, I am going to write this dissertation, and I'm not even going to say hopefully. This dissertation will turn into my first novel,
Ah, dude.
my first book. I'm sorry, not novel, first book.
I knew what you meant. I'm excited for the prospect of it. Um,
Yeah, I'm
I
doing my dissertation on energy medicine, and the tarot will absolutely be involved in that.
Energy medicine. I'm intrigued. Would you be willing to come back and talk to me again and just
Yeah,
ask more
absolutely.
about that? Because I know
I get more information under my belt. You betcha.
absolutely. I'm excited. Joey, you have been phenomenal to talk to. Is there anything
Thank
you
you.
want to put out that people should know about?
Well, you can find all my products, all my services, and all my classes at theveiledwitch.com, theveiledcottagewitch.com. And I also have Instagram at veiledwitch74. And please friend me on Facebook. with Joey Potts, and I can add you to my coven group if you would ever want to join in the community that we get together and celebrate. So
And I will put links to all of Joey's
excellent.
contact information in the description box, you guys. And Joey, I want to thank you again for talking with me today.
No problem. I've enjoyed it. I really love um, answering your questions because they were very thought provoking, and so I
That's
appreciate that.
We followed the fool's journey. That's what the fool's journey is. You know it as well as I do.
Absolutely.
And this is honestly the first time I've used the full journey in my interviews, and I think that it is going to be a standard now. So thank you for.
Awesome.
All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.